You know this sound. A quiet room, maybe a fan spinning slowly in the corner, distant traffic, a dog barking somewhere you cannot see. Sound feels normal to you, constant, almost invisible. You live inside it. Every step you take pushes air. Every word you speak rides on invisible waves. Even silence, the kind you think is silence, is never truly empty. There is always something moving, always something vibrating. Now imagine stepping outside. Not outside your house, not outside your city, outside everything. You rise above the clouds, the air thins, the wind fades, the roar of the world below becomes softer, then distant, then gone. The blue sky darkens into black. The last whisper of atmosphere slips away. And then, nothing. No wind, no echoes, no sound. Because sound, as you know it, cannot exist here. It needs something to travel through. Air, water, solid ground. Without a medium, sound has nowhere to go. No path, no voice. Space is not quiet. It is absolute silence. You could scream as loud as you can. You would feel it in your chest. You would hear it inside your skull. But beyond your body, nothing would carry it. No one would ever hear you. The universe would not respond. And yet, strangely, space is not truly silent. Because while your ears would hear nothing, the universe itself is full of motion, full of energy, full of signals moving through the darkness at the speed of light. Stars explode, planets spin, magnetic fields twist and snap, all of it happening at once, all of it making something. That could be called sound, just not the kind you are used to. If you could convert those invisible vibrations, radio waves, plasma oscillations, electromagnetic pulses, into something your ears understand, the universe would not be silent at all. It would be overwhelming. It would be eerie, alien, unfamiliar, almost alive. Now bring that idea closer, back toward something you think you understand, back toward Earth. You have heard the ocean. You have heard thunder. You have heard the wind moving through trees. But you have never heard Earth like this, not as a place you stand on, but as an object in space, a planet surrounded by magnetic fields, bombarded by solar wind, humming quietly in the dark. Because if you step far enough away and listen in the right way, Earth is not silent either. It has a voice, a strange one. And once you hear it, you will never think of this world the same way again. Start with something simple. Your breath. Air moves in, air moves out. Tiny vibrations. That is all sound really is. Pressure waves traveling through a medium, molecules bumping into each other, passing energy along like a chain of invisible collisions. On Earth, this works perfectly. At sea level, there are about 100 quadrillion molecules in a single cubic meter of air. That is 10 to the 25th power particles, packed tightly enough that even a whisper can travel across a room. That is why you can hear someone speak. Now rise just 100 kilometers above Earth's surface. You reach the edge of space, the Kármán line. Here, the atmosphere is so thin that those molecules are spread far apart. Sound begins to fail. Go higher. At 500 kilometers, where satellites orbit, the air is almost gone. There are still particles, but they are so sparse that a sound wave cannot form in any meaningful way. A vibration here has nowhere to go. This is where silence begins. And yet, Earth does not stop moving. The planet rotates at about 1,670 kilometers per hour at the equator, faster than a commercial jet. You don't feel it because everything around you is moving with you. But from space, this is a spinning world, a massive sphere of rock, water, and atmosphere, turning endlessly in the dark. Now imagine that motion, not as something you see, but something you could hear. Because motion creates energy, and energy creates signals. Earth is wrapped in something invisible, a magnetic field, generated deep within its core, where molten iron flows like a slow ocean, creating electric currents. And these currents produce a magnetosphere that stretches tens of thousands of kilometers into space. This field protects you. It deflects charged particles from the sun, what we call the solar wind. Without it, those particles would strip away the atmosphere over time, just as they did on Mars. But when the solar wind hits Earth's magnetic field, something else happens. It interacts, it vibrates, it sings. Not in sound waves, but in electromagnetic waves. NASA has recorded these signals using spacecraft instruments. When converted into audio frequencies, they become something you can hear. And what you hear is unsettling. A rising and falling chorus, whistles, crackles, low, haunting tones. It does not sound like wind. It does not sound like anything natural on Earth, because it isn't. It is the sound of plasma, charged particles moving along magnetic field lines, oscillating in patterns too large and too slow for human senses. One type of these emissions is called chorus waves. They are generated when high-energy electrons spiral along Earth's magnetic field, creating bursts of radio waves. When converted, they sound like birds, distant, metallic, almost synthetic, but they are real. This is Earth, speaking in a language you were never meant to hear. Now go further. Step away from Earth, not just a few hundred kilometers, but thousands. From the distance of the moon, about 384,400 kilometers away, Earth becomes smaller. A glowing blue sphere in black space. The sounds of storms, oceans, and cities are gone completely. But the electromagnetic signals remain. They spread outward in all directions, weakening with distance. By the time they reach the moon, they are already fading. By the time they reach the edge of the solar system, they are almost nothing. And yet, they keep going. Every radio signal ever broadcast on Earth, every voice, every transmission, has been leaking into space for over 100 years. That means there is now a sphere of human noise, about 100 light-years wide, expanding outward at the speed of light. Inside that sphere is everything you have ever said into a microphone. Outside it, silence. But here is the part that changes everything. Even that expanding bubble is nothing. The Milky Way galaxy is about 100,000 light-years across. Your entire history, every signal, every sound, has not even crossed 0.1% of your own galaxy. Not even close. You are still inside the smallest corner of a much larger structure, and the galaxy itself is moving, orbiting around a central black hole at about 828,000 kilometers per hour. The Sun, carrying Earth with it, completes one orbit every 230 million years. You have never completed even one. Not once. Now pause. Think about that. Everything you have ever known, every sound, every voice, exists on a planet that is spinning, orbiting a star, which is orbiting a galaxy, which is drifting through a universe that is expanding. And none of it makes a sound you can hear, because the medium is missing, but the motion is not. And that motion, if translated, would be overwhelming. Imagine compressing the vibrations of the solar wind, the hum of Earth's magnetosphere, the radiation of the sun, the distant signals of pulsars, into something your ears could process. It would not be quiet, it would be chaos, layers upon layers of frequencies, overlapping, shifting, never stopping, a constant storm of invisible activity. You are not in silence, You are surrounded by something you cannot perceive. And here is the question that should stay with you. If this is what Earth sounds like when translated, what does the rest of the universe sound like? Pull back further, far beyond Earth, beyond the sun, beyond the familiar structure of the solar system. Out here, distances stop making sense. Light, the fastest thing that exists, takes over 8 minutes just to reach you from the sun. From the nearest star beyond that, it takes over 4 years. And yet, even across these distances, the universe is not still. It never is. Stars pulse. Neutron stars spin hundreds of times per second, sending beams of radiation into space like cosmic lighthouses. When their signals are converted into sound, they become precise, rhythmic ticks, almost like a clock. A dead star, marking time in the dark. Black holes collide, sending ripples through space-time itself. These are gravitational waves, distortions in the fabric of reality, traveling outward at the speed of light. When scientists detect them, they convert them into audio. A short chirp, a rising tone that lasts less than a second. That is the sound of 2 black holes merging. In that moment, more energy is released than all the stars in the observable universe combined, just for an instant. And it reaches you as a tiny signal, barely detectable. That is the scale you are dealing with. Now come back to Earth, back to your room, your breath, the quiet hum of your surroundings. You think of silence as empty, but silence is not empty. It is just beyond your range. Your ears evolved to hear a narrow band of frequencies in a dense atmosphere on the surface of a single planet. That is all. The universe does not adjust itself for you. It does not become audible just because you are listening. Instead, it exists in forms you cannot directly experience, unless you translate it, unless you force it into something familiar. And when you do, you begin to realize something uncomfortable. You are not at the center of anything, not of sound, not of motion, not of the universe. You are inside a system that is constantly active, constantly shifting, constantly producing signals, and you perceive almost none of it. Your entire experience of reality is a thin slice, a narrow window, and beyond that window is something vast, something indifferent, but also something strangely connected. Because the same physics that allows your voice to travel through air is the physics that governs plasma waves around Earth, the radiation from distant stars, the ripples of merging black holes. It is all part of the same system, the same universe. You are not separate from it. You are made of it. The atoms in your body were formed in stars that died long before Earth existed. The energy that moves through you follows the same laws that move galaxies. Even your ability to hear, to interpret vibrations, is just a small expression of a much larger pattern. The universe does not need sound to exist, but it is never truly silent. And neither are you, because even now, as you sit here, unaware, your planet is humming quietly in the dark. Your signals are leaking into space. Your presence is part of a growing sphere of influence that will outlast you by thousands of years. A faint echo, expanding forever. And one day, far from here, long after everything you know is gone, that echo will still be traveling, unheard, unanswered, but never truly silent.